Viewer, good day. Samuel Richardson had written this novel, the one which I'm going now to discuss about it. The name of this novel is a marvelous novel, Clarissa. Clarissa is the heroine, the name of the protagonist of this novel. So, Clarissa, or the history of a young lady, by Samuel Richardson. Clarissa tells the story of a virtuous, beautiful young woman who is brought to tragedy by the wickedness of her world. The 18-year-old Clarissa Harlowe is universally loved and admired, considered an exemplary woman by everyone around her. The Harlowes are an up-and-coming family, possessing great wealth but little status. The other members of the family are avaricious and eager to improve their standing in the world. Clarissa becomes the victim of their greed. The troubles start with this lady when Richard Lovelace, a dashing libertine, comes to pay court to Clarissa's sister, Arabella, but is attracted by Clarissa instead. Arabella jealously combines with the resentment of their brother James, who holds a grudge against Lovelace from college days and sets the family against him. A duel between the two, in which Lovelace wounds James but spares his life, crystallizes their hatred. The family becomes suspicious of Clarissa, forbids her for corresponding with Lovelace, and commands her to marry a horrible rich man named Roger Solmus. Clarissa refuses to consider marrying Solmus and carries on a clandestine correspondence with Lovelace. She also continues to secretly correspond with her best friend Anna Howe. As she continues to resist marriage to Solmus, Clarissa is increasingly confined until she is barely able to leave her room. Finally, Lovelace takes advantage of Clarissa's fear of a forced marriage by tricking her into running away with him. Then what happened? Once Clarissa has ran away, she is in Lovelace's power. Her reputation is ruined, and her family refuse to forgive her. Lovelace is an adept manipulator, enjoying the controversies he invents to keep Clarissa in his web. He is in love with her, but he hates the idea of marriage. So his goal is to force her into cohabitation rather than marriage. Clarissa is innocent and virtuous and does not see through Lovelace's tricks. Furthermore, she refuses to compromise any of her strict tenets of behavior. Even to save herself, Lovelace repeatedly tests Clarissa's virtue as a means of testing the character of the entire sex. If Clarissa is truly an exemplary woman, she will withstand his controversies and remain a model of goodness. His intention, however, is to force Clarissa to compromise her strict morals, sully her reputation, and gain full control over her without suspecting that she is playing into his hand. She goes with him to London, where he secures lodging at Mrs. Sinclair's house. Clarissa is unaware that this is a brothel, and the woman she meets there are wars having been involved with and ruined by Lovelace in the past. These women are jealous of Clarissa and encourage Lovelace to rape her. At the same time, Clarissa's virtue has a powerful effect on Lovelace and sometimes sways him away from his bad intention. After several battles between his wicked heart and his protesting conscience, Lovelace's joy in intrigue and wars in instigation sealed Clarissa's doom. Finally, suspecting Lovelace's vileness, Clarissa escaped. But Lovelace finds her and tricks her back to Mrs. Sinclair's brothel. There, Mrs. Sinclair drugs Clarissa and Lovelace rapes her while she is unconscious. When she awakes, Clarissa goes temporarily mad and Lovelace regrets his action. The rape has failed to put Clarissa fully in his power because she has never compromised her virtue. He begins to talk with more seriousness about marrying her, but also thinks he will try to rape her again and see if he can get her consent. Thus, abandoning her principles, Clarissa, sensing the danger, runs away, this time successfully. Once Clarissa has been raped, she stops eating and no longer worries about worldly problems like repetition. She continues to seek reconciliation with her family, but they remain adamant. One of the Lovelace plots gone wrong allows him to accidentally discover Clarissa's location, but at the same time it damages her health and cements her conviction of his wickedness. Lovelace's friend Belfort comes Clarissa's protector, keeping Lovelace away but mediating between him and Clarissa. Lovelace is now truly determined to marry Clarissa, but she prefers the idea of death to that of marrying such a criminal. Her health steadily worsens and she begins to prepare for death. With remarkable equanimity, Clarissa makes her will, appoints Belfort her executor, puts her affair in order, and even orders a coffin. She finally dies, expressing forgiveness for everyone in her life and joyfully anticipation of heaven. The Harlows family finally see how wrong their treatment of Clarissa has been. Mr. and Mrs. Harlow die soon after, and James and Arabella marry badly and are miserable for the rest of their lives. Lovelace fails to reform and is killed by Clarissa's cousin Mordaunt in a duel. Anna, Hickman, Belfort, and other good characters are rewarded with happy marriages. Belfort takes on the project of collecting the letters that tells Clarissa's story so that it can be an example to protect other women from their similar fates. So this is the tragic story of Clarissa, or the history of a young lady. So this novel is written by Samuel Richardson, and genre of this novel is epistolary, realist, psychological, written in English. Time and place written 1740s in London. Date of first publication is 1747-48, and the story is told in series of letters, giving the point of view of several characters. The character provide information about one another, but there is no omniscient or objective narrator. Tone is the same, and setting time is mid-18th century, English countryside, London. Protagonist or the heroine of this novel is Clarissa Harlow. Clarissa struggled to maintain her virtue. Major conflict in this novel is Clarissa struggles to maintain her virtue against loveless plots and violence. Rising action of this novel is the Harlow's family, by trying to force Clarissa in a bad marriage, propels her into loveless control. Climax of this novel is loveless rapes of Clarissa determine the final outcome of the plot, including her death and his downfall. Following action after the rape, Clarissa escapes Loveless and begins to prepare herself for death and heaven. Themes of this novel is the danger of rakes. Virtue is rewarded eventually. A single false step brings disaster. So, this is the story of Clarissa and her eventual tragic death. I hope you will enjoy. Kindly subscribe the channel and push the like button. Thank you very much.